to tell us what the roadmap for the year is. They're going to run this present hardcore till April. It makes me wonder if they are going to do another hardcore during the summer, or if they're going to wait and just do one every fall. I'm not quite sure. H46, thanks for the 6 months. I appreciate you. So we'll see. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, like with the producer letter. I really can't. I don't know. You guys voted on Myth Draenor. If you remember, when they asked us where do you want to see the game go next, they had the Githyanki, right? It was the Githyanki expansion that would take us to Avernus and give us Githyanki, right? So maybe that's what we'll get this year. That would be super cool. That would be, anybody who's played Baldur's Gate 3 knows, like, the Githyanki is a really cool race. They get a lot of cool, like, abilities, and then going to Avernus. In DDO, we kind of already have Avernus if we go to Shavarath, right? Like, if you go to the plane of Shavarath, this is basically Eberron's version of Avernus, but I think if they actually, like, embraced the lore of the Forgotten Realms, and we got to go to, what is it? Is it Planescape? I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head, but it's something to do with that. We'll have to see. I'm completely speculating right now based on the past, what they asked us for, but oh, he said no. Did he really? He said that today. No to Githyanki today. I wonder why. But see, this is the thing, like, from my perspective, I cannot understand why they wouldn't, because the Githyankis are already really close to the way elves look. They would just have to make the ears go a little bit bigger, and smash the nose in. And then the racial abilities, like, so it's like the model is already there. They're humanoid. Like, I just don't understand why. Like, the other thing too is, I don't know the amount of time it takes to code an individual race in this game. So I understand, like, when they allocate resources, but from my perspective, I don't understand why they just don't add, like, bundles of 5. Like, Durgar needs to be added. They need to refresh Sun Elf, like, really bad, and they need to break Sun Elf out of the iconic and give it to us as a playable from level 1 and fix it, because right now Sun Elf, if you go to spend the racial points, it's like quadruple the cost of any other race. It's stupid. They need to fix that. Yeah, there's a lot of races. Kalashtar, like, we should have Kalashtar. We should have changelings, you know, even though they might be a little bit harder to implement, because they can look like other races, but you could do a changeling where you play your changeling as, and then, you know, they just basically let you do like a, you know, like something that you drag to the bar, or kind of like what they do with undead, like in your build. When you're doing your build, you know, you pick like vampire, lich, zombie. They basically would do changeling. The way I would envision it is they basically, okay, you could do changeling, halfling, changeling, orc, changeling, elf, changeling, whatever, you know, and that way you could take advantage of whatever the specific race that you were mimicking has. So if you want to do like changeling, halfling, you'd get dex bonuses. If you wanted to do changeling, elf, you'd get charisma bonuses, whatever. That would be super cool, because those are core Eberron. Like, and since we have, you know, we have Warforged, we have Shifter, we should have Changeling, we should have Kalashtar. Kalashtar, the big thing about Kalashtar is they're psionic, because they're wrapped up with the quarry, and, you know, their racials would probably have psionics, but even though they said they're not going to put psionic in, they don't need to add psionic in as a tree. All they need to do is take these existing spells that we already have, rename them to something psionic based, like Mind Blast or whatever, and just basically use psionic, like basically just use arcane spells as renamed psionic spells, and just change the, you know, if they need to change like the bonus type for like a buff, like if you were to take like a psionic heroism as an example, rather than it giving you an enchantment buff, it's going to give you a psionic buff, like, you know, that, so it would stack basically. So if you made a Kalashtar, and in here they have a racial heroism that you can cast on yourself, it would be a psionic buff that you could then stack with like a normal heroism that's an enchantment buff. Maybe it would be OP and maybe it would be broken and they couldn't actually do that, but that's where I would start. I would start there and then just work up. I wouldn't get caught up in the idea that you need to add a whole bunch of new things that are psionic abilities. No. I would just keep them as spells because really they only just function as spells. So that's interesting that Githyanki got a no. It's too bad too because you know, Baldur's Gate kind of like, people have been playing a lot of Githyankis, right? Like, I mean, they're super popular now because of Baldur's Gate. So I would do anything to capitalize on that if I could, because Baldur's Gate had like millions of players. It's still like I don't know what the exact number is, so you guys can correct me, but I think that the mods for Baldur's Gate 3 were downloaded over 100 million times. And that's insane. That's insanely popular. So that, from my perspective, like, you'd want to align yourself with that, right? If your product is in the same, like, if hamburgers with pickles are selling and everybody's buying them, and you sell hamburgers but you just put out a thing saying no pickles, to me that doesn't make sense. I don't understand why he would say no, Githyanki. People want it. That's what their 100 million downloads is, not something that's not popular. And Laziel is a super popular character. People love her when she goes to Comic-Cons and stuff. I mean, I don't know if you guys have watched the voice actors from Baldur's Gate 3 play Dungeons and Dragons. I highly recommend you go to YouTube and Google that and check it out. It's where the voice actors for Baldur's Gate 3 play D&D. A lot of them hadn't played D&D before making that game, so they don't really know what's going on. But the guy who did Astarion, he actually is a Twitch streamer, and he has played a lot of D&D, so he kind of helps the others out where they, you know, don't know things. And the actress who plays Laziel is one of the people there who plays, and she's really good. She's interesting. So I think that she did a really good job at making that character iconic and very memorable, kind of like Karlach, right? Like, we have tieflings, though. We already have tieflings in the game, so people can, if they really liked Karlach, they can make a Karlach type character. But we don't have a Githyanki for people to do a Laziel if they want, which I think they should. The other thing I think they should do is hire Amelia Tyler to do all of our DMing. I mean, maybe not 100% of it, but like the majority of stuff that we have added to the game with the DM, I think she should be the DM. She was the DM for Baldur's Gate. She knocked it out of the park. People all over the world loved her and talk about how good she did. And, you know, I mean, right away, that's something that somebody who played Baldur's Gate, when they come over and they hear her voice, be like, oh, this is fantastic. I think. Personally, that's what I think. What do I know, though, right? I don't understand a lot of the decisions that they make, so I'm not going to try. I'm sure there's a reason. I did want to do something here, but I forget what. Over here, I got myself back to Warlock. I've decided that I'm going to take a break on doing past life stuff. You can see the population over here is less than it was on Cormyr. We have about the same amount. So it's less than was on Cormier. I wonder. Yeah, for some reason my browser is not working. Okay, the expectation is the next mini expansion is going to be Ravenloft adjacent. Okay, that's cool. I don't know if my AI mod like knocked out a word off your post, but I don't know what the last word is. Did you see? I haven't seen anything. I do log into the Discord, but I haven't been keeping up with like specific conversations. Yeah, Ravenloft is super popular. It's a super cool zone. What I think needs to happen with Ravenloft is the gear from the first Ravenloft, like Ravenloft 1, 2, and 3. All that gear needs to be refreshed a little bit. Oh, it's a link. Okay, it's a link to the forum post. Okay. All right. Yeah. Next race is going to be related to Ravenloft or Lamordia. Okay. See if I can find it. Did he release that on the forum under Lamania? No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, I mean it's tough to look over here at this because this may start like a conversation. Um, yeah, let's take a look though. Yeah, all right, so I'm on the forum right now. This is somebody who posted like something about the rare loot. I covered the rare loot in a previous video where we talked about it, and then we did take a look at Axel made a great video about this too, where he broke down the numbers and talked about like specific occurrences, how it could potentially, if you were like trying to farm a piece of gear, if you had really bad luck, it might actually take you about 3 years to find the piece of gear. I don't know, man. I've posted a bunch about this rare loot. I don't think that it's like so on the forum officially I defended my post. I posted about it that rare loot mechanics are common in MMOs and that it's crazy to say, because my reaction was to people who were posting saying it was a bait and switch, and I said it's absolutely not a bait and switch. There's no bait and switch is completely different. It's not false advertising. It's not a bait and switch. Rare loot mechanics are in MMOs. Is, you know, all you have to do is go to WoW and try to get a invincible, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the issue that we have here that Axel covered and I covered and other creators have covered is it's not just these super rare items like Invincible's Reigns. It's also things that are like augments and parts of named set loot. So if you are putting together a good thing, is if you're going to put together like a part of the family set for Sharn, you need the gloves, you need the armor, and you need the neck piece, right? The gloves are easy to get. The armor is easy to get. The neck piece is rare, and it's super hard to get that. You have to farm for that over and over and over. Now, is it on this new table? No, because Sharn is older content. But stuff out of Vecna and Mythdraenor are on this new loot table, and the other group of quests that just came out, the ones that are in Wayloon, they are using this new rare loot system, which makes the rare loot ultra rare. And it may not be a piece of gear that should be ultra rare because it's part of a set bonus, and you want your players to be able to farm for their set bonus, right? It's one thing to make a super rare mount like Invincible's Reigns and WoW ultra rare because that's a super rare ultra mount, right? Like you want whoever gets that is going to be super cool. There's a lot of FOMO. It gets people going back in and doing that over and over and over again. But is it good for all? Like for what Axel pointed out, 33% of the loot table? No, that's not good. That's bad. That's very bad. And so that's what, if you go to the forum and you see people posting like this and people saying things like it's straight up hostile and people are gonna, there's a lot of, we were to read through all these, people are just gonna be like, this dude, it's a shame I can only cancel my subscription once. Like it's this, the sentiment that you do not want to be making. You want to encourage people to play. How many times do we have to? I'll pull it up again because it seems like we have to start making this like mainstream conversation because people don't seem to be talking about this, but people should be talking about this. If we look at the server population, 1,500 is the population of the game right now. Right now, there's 1,500 people playing. If I were to go, like, I don't know. I mean, let me see if I can find this. How would I look? How would I find that? Steam? Okay, I did. Yeah. All right, great. So we'll take a look at this. Now, keep in mind, this is only Steam. Steam allows for you to download the client, but you can also download the client just directly from GGG itself. Okay, this is Path of Exile 2 through Steam. Right now, players right now, 181,000. Players right now. Look, I'm sorry, you can't see this. Let me move my camera. This is players right now in DDO. This is not counting Steam. You know, Steam has a different login, but this is a look at everyone, no matter where they're coming from. So people playing DDO on Steam, people just playing DDO, right? 1,500. This is only Steam. So that means that this number is more. Right? Because we're not I don't know how many of you guys play Path of Exile 2 if you went through Steam or you didn't go through Steam. I didn't go through Steam. My Path of Exile is just through the Grinding Gear Games. I just got the client itself. So the reason I brought this up is not to compare the games. It's how are they, when the gameplay itself, even though it's different, the complexity of builds are very similar in Path of Exile and DDO. And I would argue that DDO's like the reincarnation system where we can put together multiple past lives to get these really complex builds is equal to this system that they have over here. They just have a different philosophy on doing things over here that over here we need because we're not keeping players. In other words, if we were to go back in time to 2018, this is 2025, we would go back in time to 2018, the player population is about the same. When the pandemic happened, that spiked up, and then when the pandemic ended, it dropped back down. So why aren't we growing our population? This is the point. I'm not going to answer this question now, but I think adding things like Githyanki would help that. Is it going to get us to here? No, that's not going to do that. In order for that to happen, there would have to be like major philosophy changes on how the game is monetized and run. But I've said this before. I'll probably end up making a YouTube video about it. The monetization system that they use in DDO is outdated. It was originally cooked up in 2009. The internet is so much different now. There's no way when somebody logs in to the game that we need to be nickel and diming them on every little thing and every little bag and all the little things that we make people pay for. I've said it earlier the lesser reincarnation stones need to be gotten rid of. Reincarnation should just be something that you can do. You shouldn't have to pay for it. You shouldn't have to buy a stone to do it. It should just be something that you can do, especially when it comes to like fixing a broken build. You shouldn't have to buy a lesser reincarnation stone to fix a broken build. It doesn't make any sense, because what it does is it sets up a barrier to entry where you're punishing players and people who don't want to stay in the ecosystem and just fork over money. Why are so many people free to play in DDO? It's because of this. Another great example is, when was the last time you guys looked at the store? Have you noticed that there are literally 800 million items for sale on the store? Why? Why are we selling +1 swords on the store? All that, 95% of that stuff needs to be deleted. They need to optimize things like cosmetics, skins. Like maybe you want to make your dark elf look like a sea elf. Why not sell us a skin that can make a regular elf look like a high elf or a moon elf, or, you know, like creative ways to monetize pets, mounts, obviously, cloaks, obviously. Why not more? Like the butterfly wings are super popular. Why not like dragonfly wings? Why not just monetize it in way, like in Path of Exile 2? You can buy it for, I think it's what, like $600. You can buy an island. You can buy an island stronghold if you want. That to me is a great way to monetize, because it doesn't affect the gameplay. You can still play the game absolutely for free if you want, but if you want to help out grinding gear games and support them, you can literally buy an island. Like, okay, there you go. Why not? I've said it. I keep saying it. We need player housing in DDO. Why? Because it would be an avenue for them to monetize, and then they could open the game up for everybody else. And what do I mean by that? Everybody who plays the game should log in and get all these bars. They should be able to go into normal, hard, and elite. There should be none of the old school piecemeal BS that you can you guys make a free-to-play account and log in. You just can't do anything. The banks don't work. The bags are hardly on. Like, there's just a lot of stuff. All that stuff needs to be made available. My opinion. Lesser reincarnations should be taken out of the game completely. If you want to respec, you should just be able to respec. If you want to go to Fred and change a feat, you should be able to do it for free. I don't think that you should have, or maybe make it like a cheap platinum. You know, it should have nothing to do with real world money. If you want my real world money, make a, you know, like I just said, my example was make it so that I can put a skin on and make my drow look like a different version of a drow. Maybe I can make it look like an Underdark drow instead of an Eberron drow or something like that. That would be something I would pay for. Give me an outfit so I can make my character look like a Sith Lord. Give me an outfit that I can make my character look like Bellatrix Lestrange or something, you know, from Harry Potter. Like anything like that. Like that from my perspective, that's how they could make a lot of money, and just open the game up and let people play. So when people come here and play the game, they can actually play the game, and they're encouraged to stay in the ecosystem and actually participate in it. As opposed to right now, what happens is the first roadblock they hit not only punishes them for making a mistake, I don't know. So we have two games who are similar. The gameplay is different, but the complexity is the same. Path of Exile 2, you know, it plays more like Dark Souls and Diablo than this game, but the complexity of the builds, like, if I were to take this triple completionist character I have and take all of those lives and map them out on that, like, you know, I forget what they call it in Path of Exile, but you know what I'm saying. If you played that game, you know that you have that big spider web of abilities. Very similar in like how you know, can add all these things together and then come up with a build. So like this build that I'm doing now, my minion enchanter build, this works a lot better because of all these past lives that I have. So, and it looks like Callie, I'm seeing what you're typing. It looks like you guys kind of agree with what I'm saying too. Like, I'm not shitting on the game. I think that we have a great game here. I think it's really cool, but I definitely think they have to, you know, like, look at the environment and say, how do we, if they're going to say legit, how do we grow this game in 2025? They need to make some changes. And the changes aren't anything that they probably are going to want to make, because like, I honestly think that they need to get rid of 95% out of that store. There's no reason why somebody is going to log in with real money and buy a +1 sword. You can go into any dungeon again. Like, why is that even on there? It's just it's bloat that doesn't need to be there. It's not helping anybody, and it just makes it look ridiculous, because it's like, put something else in the store that somebody's going to want to buy that's going to help the experience. Every game has like XP accelerators, right? Like every game is going to do something like that, but I definitely think that the free-to-play experience should be like the entire game unlocked. Like it should just be the entire game. You just log in, you play the game, and then you're playing the game and you want to, you know, play with your friends and do quests with your friends. Obviously, they're not going to give you the expansion. You need to buy the expansion, but you know, if you want to do normal, hard, elite, Reaper, or whatever, you should be able to do whatever difficulty you want. If you want to respec, you should be able to respec. You shouldn't be trapped in a build. You shouldn't be punished as a new player if you want to experiment with a build. The game telling you, oh, you made a shitty build because you don't know what you're doing. Well, now you have to pay me $20 in real life buying these stones to reincarnate so you can get out of a bad build. Like, you should just be able to you know, get out of it. Respec. Every game that I've ever played, well, not every game, but most games allow you to respec easily if you make a mistake. It was something that Diablo 4 got a shitload of bad press about, the fact that they made it super hard to respec originally, and Blizzard backed off and changed it, and now it's easy to respec in Diablo 4. Yeah, I mean, how is a new person to DDO who just downloaded the client, they played Baldur's Gate 3, now they're all excited, they come over here, they want to play a Githyanki, they can't make a Githyanki, so they try to make something similar to it, right? And then they make a build that's just completely awful. Well, they can't respec. The next thing they have to do is delete that character because it's bricked and make a new one. That might seem okay for some players, but for other players, they're going to say, well, why can't I just respec? Like, why is it that we're punishing new players? Because the two graphs that we looked at, 1,500 players here, that number's not going up. How can we do things that are going to encourage players to stay? If people come back and play, I don't have all the answers. I'm asking you guys. Like, I'm not a burning bush. I don't know. I'm just offering some suggestions based on like things that I can think up. But like, it seems to me like we have to come up collectively with some idea. Otherwise, we just don't care. Like, maybe that's the meta. Maybe the meta is they just don't care. Maybe they just want to keep the status quo, and 1,500 is the magic number that's really all they care about. You know, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't have access to their books. I don't really know, like, you know, all the details. So, but, you know, from my perspective, if they want to get it back to where the player base was what it was during the pandemic, I mean, we had 2 to 3 times as many people playing. You know, it was 3,000 to 5,000 during the height of the pandemic. Now it's 1,500. Like, that's a massive fall off, man. Because that's going to affect everything. That's going to affect their ability to make new content. It's going to affect their ability to like put staff on to deal with problems. Like, if they have a lot more lag issues with whatever they decide to do. It may also mean that they just don't have the ability to like move us into the 64-bit servers environment. I'm sure that the you know, the Las Vegas data center costs quite a bit of money to have a server on. I would imagine, just from, because I've run my own business, that having all the servers in one data center would be cheaper than having, you know, a bunch on the East Coast and a bunch in Las Vegas. I would just imagine that eventually they'd want them either all one or the other, right? So I'm sure that I'm oversimplifying a lot of things, but I really do believe it. Like I have a story where I think I've mentioned it a few times. My friend played Baldur's Gate 3, wanted to make a build, came into this game, played it. He logged in. He couldn't make his character that he wanted to make from Baldur's Gate 3 because he didn't have a plus 20 heart of wood. He looked on the store to buy a plus 20 heart because that's what you have to do in this game, and they weren't for sale then because they're specialty items. He couldn't just buy it. Well, why is that the case? He completely lost interest, logged off, and he hasn't played since. Like, what? He has no interest to play now. Why? Well, because he couldn't do what he wanted to do when he logged in to do it. I don't understand. Why aren't we encouraging people to be able to do whatever mad scientist idea they have in their head for a build? Like, why are plus 20 hearts even a thing? Why can't he just respect his character? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, yes, I understand that they charge money for those things and that they're rare and that they've made them rare, but that's an ontology they made. Like, they made that rule themselves. They can change it. They can monetize in a different way. They don't need to have that as the way to do things. They could just let him respec and then get his money somewhere else, because I'll tell you one thing. If he was happy and he was playing, he'd be encouraged to spend money on other things, like using Path of Exile 2's example of the island fortress that you can buy for $500. If he was able to play and make his character that he had in Baldur's Gate 3 and was having a grand old time, why he loves spending money in video. I'm using him now as like a generic character, like it's not actually a real person. It's a mix of a bunch of different people. But why wouldn't he just, you know, buy something, a cosmetic that he wants, or a mount that he wants, or a pet that he wants, or a stronghold? Like, of course he would. That people do that in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I haven't really played Star Wars: The Old Republic in years, but I log in and check my strongholds. I log in and buy new decos for my strongholds, you know, every once in a while, not all the time, but there was a time when I used to. So, I mean, the point is, like, there's a lot of ways to keep people invested in a game. So the number, like, I think that wouldn't this game feel a lot better for us if the population was 10,000 instead of 1,500? I think so. What if it was 20,000? Holy shit. Like, really? Like, that'd be crazy. Like, that would be really good. I think, you know, part of the issue too is that when these games were originally designed by Turbine, it was just a much different, not only time for video games, but it was just a much different development atmosphere. You know, like just the things that people were thinking about and talking about in video game world is a lot different than it is now. Somebody said that the game Concord that failed, that Sony had spent like $400 million on it, and they shut the game down in 2 weeks. So, I mean, with video games, you really never know, right? Like, what people are going to find fun. I think a great example of what I'm trying to talk about is Pal World. Pal World did really, really well, broke a bunch of Steam records, super popular. A lot of people were playing it. Nobody had ever heard, nobody knew anything about it. It only cost $20. There's no microtransactions. It's a different kind of game than DDO, but the point is it was wildly popular. Wildly popular. They just released an expansion. People are still playing it now. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of games who do everything right. There's a lot of games who do everything wrong. You know, Concord is the latest example of a game that's done everything wrong. Dragon Age Veilguard, another example of a game that did everything wrong. I don't know how you screw up the Dragon Age IP. Dragon Age Origins, one of the coolest games I ever played. I have zero desire to play Veilguard. I'm not even interested in it. I watched the trailer for it and I'm like, this looks like garbage. Which is crazy because I loved Origins. But if you were to watch, I mean, I think we did that at one point in the past, but we watched the Origins trailer and then we watched the Veilguard trailer. It's almost like, I don't even know a good metaphor. It's just they look like they came out of different universes. They look like they're different games, completely different games. So how does that relate to us over here for DDO? I just think that it's really good to embrace stuff that we know works. Baldur's Gate 3 worked. It was the most popular D&D game of all time. It was one game of the year, voted by many as easily one of the best games of the last 10 years, if not maybe of all time. I mean, there are people who have said that. I kind of agree. It was really, really well done. So I guess the point is, why wouldn't you capitalize on that, you know, that fandom or whatever, you know, that zeitgeist, grab it, because that, you know, it's rare. It's really rare to be adjacent to that in a space. And, you know, DDO, a lot of people come here, like, as the person who runs a guild, Death Smile. We have 1,000 members. My Discord, there's almost 1,000 people there. People talk to me about stuff all the time, and one of the things that I hear a lot is, can I make my Baldur's Gate character, you know, in DDO? And I'm like, well, depends. Yes and no. All right, so this here, I'll tell you guys what I'm doing. See, she's not sensing that. I'm gonna try again. I might not be correct about this, but I think I am correct about it. So in order for this quest to be super easy, we want the key to be in that room right there. And I think if we have the ability to like sense secret things, which I think Darling can trigger it, we should see a message. So I'll give her a like a buff. We should see a message here. Maybe if I search here. All right, we're going to verify this right now. We're just going to see if there's a key in here. I don't think there's a key in here, because I should see this weird text over my head. Half human, half mind flayer. Yeah, well, if you played through the Baldur's Gate 3 canon story, you can romance the mind flayer, so that's not. Yeah, see, there's no key here, so I think I'm correct about this. So we're gonna try it again. Yeah, I mean, I did one playthrough where I did the canon romance option, but I mean, from my perspective, it's just so like dumb. I was like, God. But I'm not gonna judge. Maybe people fell in love with the Emperor. That's cool. Hey, it's a free country. Do what you want. If you want to love a soulless monster, that's cool. I'm sure there are many marriages that are worse off, right? So what we want here is this this area right here. We should see like a thing pop up over us if the key is in here. I think, again, it's not here. Yeah, it's not here. We're going to prove this, too, because I'm not crazy. But we're not getting a good spawn. We're going to try resetting it again so I can show you guys what I mean. This is basically the easy way to do this. Yeah, I did a ton. I have like 1,500 hours in Baldur's Gate 3. So I played it a lot. Yeah, easy. It was. I think it's probably the best video game of all time. From my, I mean, obviously there are a lot of video games, right? That's hard to say, right? But it's one of the best. Really, really well done. I don't think it's in here. I'm gonna check again, but I mean, I'm not seeing that message, so I just didn't realize how rare it was to get this key here. So we're going to search. So normally the key is here on the ground. Yeah, it's not here. All right, so We're gonna reset it. Another game that I loved really, and it's awesome if you guys haven't played, it's worth playing just for the cinematics, is Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Awesome, unbelievable, like such a great, it's the that had my favorite game until I played Baldur's Gate. But the thematics of it, the cinematic scope of it is very similar to Baldur's Gate. It's just a really cool science fiction story. Shepard, the main character, whether you play male or female, is super cool. The voice acting is all awesome. All the characters, just like Baldur's Gate, all of them had super cool backstories. They were really interesting. The romance options were all really well done. Like, it was just a super, super great game. This is BioWare before it was bought out by EA, gutted and ruined. You know, now they're just a husk, basically. But back in the day, BioWare was like a force, man. They were unstoppable. They made the games like Baldur's Gate. So people were actually saying this. It's not just me. They were saying, is Larian Studios the new Baldur's Gate? All right, so I'm not seeing this thing over my head again. Did I not get it again? How? We're going to actually make this happen. This is stupid. I didn't realize how rare this is. I guess I've got really lucky the times that I've found it in here. No? Dude. What's going on with this game? Why can't I find this damn key? It's not going to be here, right? We're just going to... This is a proof of concept. We're just trying to make sure that the way that I do it is actually valid. Yeah, no key. All right, so we're just going to leave. Otherwise, you have to go to the other spots. It's not that the other spots are so difficult, but it does make this quest way easier if you can find the key right here. And the way to find it is the way I'm trying to demonstrate. Like, if you have somebody who can sense secret objects or hidden objects, you should see, when you walk up these stairs by this room, you should see this bullshit like pop up over your head. These like exclamation points that there's something hidden here. And so that's what I'm looking for Darling to see, like a bunch of like, you sense a secret thing here, but we're just not getting it. But it should work. Now, maybe it's because I'm doing R4. I don't think so, though. So that was something that I suggested, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but the conversation about how to retain players. So, like, my idea was that they should add more Reaper levels on top of 10. They should go up to 100. And the dial should be that if you go to do Reaper 100, it should be impossible. Like, you shouldn't be able to even, like, do anything in a Reaper 100 quest. You should be instantly killed. But the whole point is to see who can come up with like the strongest build, the strongest team comp, the strongest players to push as far as they can to see how high up they can go. Right now they're doing that in Marvel Rivals. People are doing Grandmaster pushes, Diamond Plus pushes, whatever you want to say. What's the after Grandmaster Eternal or something like that? I don't even know what all the levels are, but people are pushing to see how good their teams can go and how high up they can progress. I think the actual tournament season just started like last night for Marvel Rivals. I've been playing that. It's really good. The point is they've got people invested because they're trying to push for something, right? And that's what we need here. So my idea wasn't to make more Reaper mode or to piss people off who don't like Reaper mode. My idea was to have that Reaper that high because there is a certain subset of our community who are power gamers, who really do like that chase, who want to feel challenged, who want to theory craft builds to work in high skull Reapers in a team comp setting, competing against other people, solo and teams, to see whose build is better, who can go further. Okay, I'm with a full party of 6. I'm a healer. We were able to do Reaper 40, you know, whatever. And then somebody else posts, yeah, well, we were able to hit Reaper 45. I think people would farm that for the next 5 years. You know, if they really did make Reaper 100 impossible to do, I think it would keep people satisfied and playing this game. And it may even bring people who are looking for that kind of crazy challenge back, because one of the things, if you played Path of Exile 2, that you find out really quick, that game is really hard. It's really hard. It's unforgiving how hard it is. Like, I just die all the time when I play it. So, like, it's not easy. Granted, I'm soloing, but the point is, like, I think that a lot of people really like that. And while I don't think it's going to be like 50% of the population, I think it's enough that it would grow. You know, we might go from 1,500 players to 2,500 players because of it, right? Like, it's a good means to get people to stick and stay around and try. The other thing too, imagine how much more a character like me here on almost a triple completionist with almost 100 Reaper points, imagine how much better I would do progressing in Reaper 40, let's say, than somebody who was on a first life character. So what it does is it makes this grind much more relevant, way more. Like, it all of a sudden, the triple completionist crowd, which we have a lot of them now, has something to do. Like, something, again, it's not going to be for everybody, but it's something that keeps people logging in and playing and invested in the game. My opinion. Obviously, these are all my opinions, and I'm not affiliated with SSG at all. They never listen to me, so I wouldn't expect to see any of this stuff being implemented. But if they gave me a magic wand and said, yeah, we'll let you do 3 things, one of the first things I'd do. Yeah, one of the first things that I would do. Yeah, they don't care. They don't want to listen. And you know, that's a huge problem. That is a huge problem. It's one of the things that people often talk about with developers who are falling off, is that, you know, they just don't listen to players. They don't care. They just do what they want to do. And as opposed to, like, people who do listen. One of the, if you play Path of Exile 2, Grinding Gear Games gets a lot of people talk really positively about them as a developer because they listen, even though people aren't always happy with the changes that they make. Like, they nerfed my Sork build to the point where I stopped playing, but I plan to play more. It's just they're in alpha right now. I'm gonna wait until they get into the beta and then I'll go back, but I didn't want to keep making builds that kept getting nerfed, so my Sork build got nerfed, and that's that. Yeah, D4. I mean, D4, like, I play it every season, and I got really high in hardcore this season on Diablo 4. Like, I made it to cap. I got Paragon, I think it's 240 or something like that, which is, you know, that I still have a lot more grinding to do to get to 300, but, like, I did tier 4 hardcore, like, that's as high as you can get. So I don't have all the best gear, but I was playing a Spiritborn. Spiritborn are busted, so it was a lot easier to do than if I was playing my Sork, right? But I had a lot of fun. Usually I just solo in Diablo 4. But that's one of the things I said. Oh, that's it. You see, you guys see it? There, the key is here. So all we had to do is reset. We got this weird hidden spot check thing, and now we can get the key. Easy peasy. So that's what we were looking for. It just took us a while to get it. I don't know why. But this is what you want if you're doing this quest. So you need to have somebody who has a high-ish spot, or you need to have Darling out, and then we'll find the key on the ground here. We just have to do a fight. So she'll search, and the key is right there. Then we have to fight a spider, I think, or something. Oh, we have to fight sludge. So you guys who know my build, if anybody does, you'll notice that my build is slightly different. I'm actually doing the variant where I'm an Exalted Angel as opposed to being in Unyielding Sentinel. So Unyielding is what I do when I'm doing hardcore. And then this is the build that I do when I'm just like normally playing. Oh, actually, pardon me. I keep Unyielding, but I get rid of Shadow Dancer and I just go into Exalted. And the reason for that is for this, the charge. We also have a pretty good, the Sun Pillar does like a CC effect here. I personally think that the hardcore one is like probably my favorite, but this one is a little bit better for, you know, like solo gameplay when I don't have to worry about dying, because I do die more without the Shadow Dancer immunities that I get. But we still have evasion. We keep evasion. It's just we pick up evasion from Primal Avatar. So I should probably post this variant on the DDO forum. I do have my build posted there, but it's the hardcore version. So. But anyway, yeah, clearly I put a lot of thought into like life as a gamer and making content for YouTube and streaming on Twitch here, and like I want DDO to do well. I want it to grow the population, to get more people interested in playing. So like I have a lot of ideas based on a lot of the other games that I see and developers that I see. And while I don't think that I am always spot on, I think that I generally, when I come up with an idea, it's probably generally good. Like I can't see a downside to having Githyanki in the game. Like I'm sorry, I just cannot see a downside to that. It was in Baldur's Gate. People love Baldur's Gate. People are going to come here to play characters that they played in Baldur's Gate. Laziel is super popular. Why wouldn't we have one? Like it doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah, well, but okay, so H4 marketing the game, but the problem is people come and they go. Like I was saying earlier when we were looking at the numbers, we have a ton of attrition. People come here and people go just as fast. In other words, like every other day I hear from people because I'm running a hardcore or softcore light guild, whatever you guys want to say, on Coremare, where you know people are doing the Lantern event, and I hear people like, "Oh, thanks for the guild invite. I used to play the game 5 years ago. Now I'm back." But the population isn't going up, so that means for every new person that's coming in, a person is leaving. That's not good, man. As somebody who focuses on, as a guild master, player retention, you guys who've been with me through all the different hardcore seasons, you guys know that I do something that nobody else does. What is that? Anybody knows? I do something that nobody else really does. Rather than making you guys guess, because you might not actually know right off the top, but I send out a letter to anybody who is removed from the guild, and I let them know exactly why. I send them a rejoin token. I explain to them like the policy. I say, hey, so I'll see you when you get back, you know, blah blah blah. Nothing personal. I hear from people later on when they come back. I really appreciated your letter. Thank you very much. You know, it made me feel like this place was actually like a guild that I could call home and not just some place that I'm leveling up in. And that's exactly my take when I think about like this game. We don't want people just logging in because they're bored, they have no other game to play. We want them invested. We want them chasing stuff here. So, like, open up the DDO store if you're in game. Look at the thousands of items there. Why are half of those even? 90% of it is garbage. What? Why are we selling people +1 swords? Like, who's buying that? I would say nobody's buying it, right? Like, we need to optimize it, man. There should be one page there. It should be cosmetics, amounts, pets, strongholds, like. There should be patron packs. There should be 15 different patron packs. One of them should be $1,000. You know, if you get this patron pack, you can run around looking like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. Like, I mean, it sounds stupid, but people go for that kind of shit, right? We don't want people to be invested in the wrong thing. We want people to play and be like, oh, this game is so cool because I'm chasing this, but it's nothing that you can buy. Like, the worst thing that can happen is that, like, what happened with Season 2? Season 2, Bone Devil Mount, people ground for that. Season 2 hardcore was the worst lag. It was at the height of COVID, the lockdown, that we had the most people online. Twitch streams were going crazy. You know, people would have like 300 viewers for GDL on a Twitch stream during that. I mean, it's insane. That's not the case now, but the point is, a lot of people put in a lot of hard work to get that Bone Devil mount, and then what did they do? They slapped some fire on it and they sold it, and you can now buy it on the store for 2,500 points. The Bone Devil Nightmare. It looks so much like the Bone Devil mount. It's like a slap in the face to all the people who actually did the work to get the mount during that hardcore. I don't think anything that you earned during hardcore should ever be for sale. Another great example of what I'm talking about is they just gave away the Golden Fire Dragon footprints for the Year of the Dragon, right? Or I think it's Year of the Dragon. It's either that or the VIP. I think it was Year of the Dragon reward. And it looks cooler than the bloody footprints from Season 1. And you just have to log in and get it. Okay, that's great. I'm not going to say no to free stuff, but the point that it's on fire and it's cooler than the blood, bro, like, why isn't this is a hardcore mount I'm on. Why isn't this on fire? Like, I don't, this is the thing. There's nothing to chase. There's nothing to chase. It's too easy. And then the things that you can chase, like, can you guys tell that this is a hardcore mount? How do you tell? You have to look and see if you can notice the skull on that little fleur right there. And if I'm zoomed out far enough, the sprites won't even draw. Like, you have to get way in, and then you can see, yeah, there is a little skull face right there. That's crazy. That's the only difference between this mount and the story mode mount, is that tiny little skull. Who's gonna chase that? Nobody's gonna chase that. I mean, people who collect, like, completionists will chase it, right? Because completionists go after everything, but it's such a small section of the population. Like, the idea is to make it so that people are invested and feel like they're spending their time working towards a worthy goal, right? And that any money they spend should aid them in getting that, but it shouldn't be an augment to that goal. You know, like, you shouldn't be able to pay to win. Like, that's the point. Because pay to win kills games. Like, Genshin Impact was the coolest game, the biggest game for a couple years. Basically, it's pretty much dead. Yes, it made Hoyoverse or whatever, like $4 or $5 billion. Like, it did what it was supposed to do, but now they have Wuthering Waves or whatever the new game is for them, which is even better. Like, Wuthering Waves is a gorgeous game. Like, now I think that's the latest one. And they're just gonna keep, like, swapping out games. Well, DDO isn't doing that. I mean, they probably could come up with, like, a DDO 2 that would reinvest people, right? But they probably won't do that. So it's a little bit different too than a gacha. Especially in an environment where the IP has had failure with all the other video games. Like, Dark Alliance is getting closed down. and that was their best D&D's best launch in the last decade. Like, can you even think of another one? Maybe what, Neverwinter Nights, or what was before that? I would have to pull up a website and look. I can't even think of any, like, you know, like, aside from Baldur's Gate 3, I mean, like, what other D&D games are there? Like, Baldur's Gate 3, that's another reason why Baldur's Gate 3 gets so much press, is because they did stuff with the Dungeons and Dragons name that nobody's been able to do. Like, there just haven't been many popular D&D games, so, which is unfortunate because there are a lot of D&D players. I mean, right now we could look at Twitch. I think Critical Role, don't they stream on Friday night? And they play tabletop Dungeons and Dragons. So, and they get thousands of viewers. They're super popular. So people love D&D, people play D&D. So why isn't a video game about it popping off? That's the thing that, you know, we have to look at, like, reality, right? Like, objective reality, and say there have to be things that are driving people away as soon as they arrive in order for the attrition level to match the people who are coming in. I just have a few ideas on how to fix these things, but, like, I'm not a real world wizard. I don't actually know. I just have some ideas on things that might make this game better. I really do think, like, a Reaper 100 mode would make this game better, because it would give a lot of the sweaties something to chase. You know, there's a group of people who are real hardcore gamers. They want it to be super difficult. They want every single past life they get to give them that edge so they can push the game to the absolute limit. I think that would scratch that itch for them. And I think if they really made it so that Hardcore 100 was impossible, I think that would be a very good... It's kind of like how we have... what's a good example of that? Like, if you guys played Diablo 4, if you've ever done the pit, you know, the pit, like, if you turn it all the way up to the max difficulty, you just walk in the door and you get instantly obliterated. Now, that wasn't the case, obviously, with Spiritborn, because Spiritborn was busted. And Spiritborn could smash the highest level of the pit in a couple of minutes. I think Elon Musk got, like, the world first for that, I think. For his Spiritborn, he was able to do, like, pit 150 in, like, 2 minutes or something like that. Yeah, right. Need to do better to keep folks. Yeah, I mean, Elon paid someone. Yeah, I mean, obviously, right. Well, with Diablo 4, though, right, definitely with PoE 2, but with Diablo 4, I'm pretty sure, didn't he live stream, like, him killing the boss in 2 minutes? Like, wasn't he actually in the frame? Wasn't he actually, like, clearly, if you've played Diablo 4, you know exactly, like, to put it into context of why somebody might say he's a fraud. In Diablo 4, you have to grind aspects, right? Like, it's the system for getting your gear optimized. And it takes, like, months of grinding this stuff. And you can also trade, you can also buy, like... So, I think it's a combination between having other people grind his accounts and RMT. Like, I think he did, like, real-world money transactions and paid people just to pass him, like, perfect items. Because if you look at his gear, it's all perfect. And that's the case in PoE 2. His gear, forget the fact that he made it to level 97, which would mean that he had to play 18 hours a day since the game came out, every day, all day. But the gear that he has is, like, so perfect. If he didn't buy it, he is literally the luckiest person on the planet. Because not only, he doesn't just have one, he has, like, every slot has, like, literally the best item that you can get in it. So, I mean, we're talking about, it's clearly RMT. It's clearly been piloted by somebody else. So, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said earlier when we were talking about this kind of stuff, like, I did Revan hard mode. I did the callouts. Have I ever talked about that in reality? It was super hard. It's an achievement that I was super proud of. But, like, outside of that tiny little community, nobody's going to care. Outside of the PoE 2 community, who's going to give a shit if he says, yeah, I'm the #1 PoE2 player in the world, whether it's true or not, nobody's, who the fuck is going to care? Nobody. It's not like I beat Revan on my, you know, like when I'm applying for a job, I can do the Revan callouts in case you're wondering. It's like, what are you talking about? This is an insurance company. I don't know what you're talking about. The difference, yeah, my PoE2 gear is garbage. It's so bad. And they nerfed my build. I was doing one of the Ice Comet builds, you know, the one that procced, like auto procced, but they nerfed it, so I can't do it anymore. So I haven't really played since they nerfed that. I was thinking maybe I'll make a monk, but I don't know. I'm probably gonna wait. I'm probably gonna wait for them to like do the beta, and then I'll do another Sork once they get all the stuff sorted out. They just did a big update like yesterday, so I'll probably log in and see what's going on there and check out some of the streamers that I watch who play the game. Usually Rax, if you guys have played PoE2, usually Rax or Darth Microtransaction, they talk about like builds and what's overperforming, underperforming, things like that. So I keep up with it. I just have kind of stopped playing it. Really, honestly, I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. You know, it's super mindless, super fun, like really cool. Highly recommended if you guys like that kind of thing. It's free. It's free to play. You don't need to pay a dime to play it. It's really high quality too. Like they did a hell of a job with it. A lot of people, like if you were to just look at any cosplay on X, like a lot of it's Marvel Rival related. Jeffy the Shark is like, I think they're making stuffed animals of him now. So if you're wondering, like, why am I seeing little shark stuffed animals? It's Jeff from Marvel Rivals, which is basically a character that you can play there. I'm not quite sure where he came from, like what, you know, like I know where Iron Man came from. I know where Scarlet Witch came from. I don't really know. Did they make Jeff the Shark up for that, or is he really part of the MCU? I don't know. I guess I don't know that much about MCU lore, but the game is actually really good if you're a fan of like the Marvel universe and the movies and Endgame. Like they do a really good job with the lore. Like I was super impressed. I think that, yeah, it's totally worth trying out. I've been trying, like I can tank pretty decent on Doctor Strange. I can tank pretty decent on Magneto. And Groot is actually a lot of fun because of the walls that you can throw up, but I wouldn't say I'm really good at the game yet. I'm not terribly good on DPS unless I play Punisher. I did learn how to DPS on Storm, although she's kind of tough. The most fun I think I have now is Invisible Woman. I play as a healer. That's super cool. I haven't tried every character though. Iron Man is really fun to play. Like if you like those movies and stuff, he's got a lot of the same abilities. He says a lot of the stuff that he, like the way they banter back and forth is very similar to how they talk to each other in the movies. So they did a really good job with that. And I'm waiting for Civ 7. Civ 7 comes out, I think, in like a couple of weeks. And so I will be playing that. I'll probably live stream it the first day. I'm not sure if I'll live stream a lot of it because it's a strategy game and I don't know how exciting it would be, but you know, we'll see how that goes. But I'm a huge fan of that franchise. I've played all the Civilization games. I really like them. So even though I don't have any hirelings out, I'm still using like the minion enchanter build. We are constantly utilizing a minion. It's the Heart Guardian, which you can see I dropped her up there. And even though she's not really strong enough to kill anything, she does keep aggro until I can get around to killing these things. So, you know, it works. Like it's a solid, you know, play style. So I can drop her. She's off cooldown. I'll drop her right in the middle of that group. They'll all like pig pile on her, and then I cast my CC on them, and then I jump in and burst them down. So there, she's down. They're doing the pig pile. There's my CC. And now I'm gonna try to burst them down. This is R4, so it takes a little bit. But we got most of it. This Mark of Law was immune to my CC. And we're gonna do the same thing around the corner too. So, like, I'll go slow enough that I can find the first mob to tap. So I'll get like a tap on this one here, and then I'll just drop my Heart Guardian right on top of it. Everything will pig pile on her. And then I CC it all. And now we're good to go. So this is basically like solo tactics, right? But this works. It's super strong if you're a soloer. So most people can do R4 pretty easily these days, so I don't think it's that like wild a feat. But you can do R6 reasonably easy the same way. Once you push it to R8, there's just a lot more spiky damage, so you know things get a little bit more out of control quicker. The same thing that happens with R6, like as soon as you get the Vengeance Reapers doing the circles, it can get a little bit like hairy, but for the most part it's pretty simple. You could probably, if you're a really good player and you're really careful, you could probably do R10s yourself. It just would take a little while. But, you know, the damage holds up pretty well. There is a dude who's been doing like all the quests on R10, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we need like more of a challenge. If people are posting, I soloed every quest on R10, it's time to add more difficulty. You know, like, bro. I don't know. I don't know what the long-term goals are. Maybe they don't care. R8 using Thornwalker. Yeah, Thornwalker's really strong. That is such a great archetype. Okay. Why we love the wings, so we can get away from the Reaper really quick and then CC it. The wings are hands down like the S tier epic ability in the game. You always want to get them. There's really nothing better than them, which is the reason why I'm using them here. It's just they're so strong. You can get away from a mob, you can reposition really easy, and I've submitted an idea that I think that they should make it, because they're so strong. I think that they should make like a fast movement. What I'm talking about, if you guys don't know, is this exalted charge. I think that this needs to be added to all the other epic destinies, just because it's so strong. It really does. Like, people take exalted angel just because of that, and it really is worth it. Like, having that will keep you alive where other things won't. So like, it's just super useful, and it allows you to like keep up in quests with Zergers, or you know, because you get 5 chargers, you can move fast, you know, you can just do quests a lot quicker. So I just think they should have every class should have access to it in epics. I think it should just be like a generic epic thing. Either that or just add it to more. Like, they're gonna redo Shadow Dancer, I think they should add it. I did submit that as an idea, by the way. So this dude can do a lot of, like, spiky fire damage. So we have to kind of keep moving, obviously. Like, that right there, like, that's easy to die in that. But we should be okay. Like I said, this character is my main, really close to being a triple completionist. And we have a lot of, like, extra survivability. My damage isn't super high on bosses, as you can see. It's the one downside of being a Warlock. Warlock DPS is really low, generally, when it comes to boss fights. So, usually the boss fights are sweaty, and they take a while. But it's still a super fun build. If I were doing, like a Dragon Lord using Adrenaline, I could kill this boss really quick, right? But I'm just doing my normal burst. I have to get out of that fire. Yeah, see how much damage it did to me? It did a shit ton. Like, that fire is no joke. So if you're doing hardcore, you want to stay away from that, dude. Yeah, we're gonna go back. We'll go to the Drunken Dragon, yeah. R8 Thornwalker, no gear. Sunray, yeah, Sunray's great. Tanya, you got it. You played it for a day. You might try it again. What game is that? Were you talking about Marvel, PoE, Pal World? I've mentioned a bunch of different games. Oh, somebody sent... Oh, there we go. Yeah, yeah. Sorry if I'm not keeping up with all the things in chat. I try to. I'm also open for, like, suggestions. Like, if you guys find a game... I like RPGs, fantasy RPGs, sci-fi RPGs. So if you play a game and you think it's really cool, let me know. I'll try it out. I'm happy to try out new games. I'm always looking. I watch a lot of other streamers who stream different games. I consider myself a variety gamer. I really... You guys only really know me through GDO just because I happen to be in this community for a long time, but I have played a lot of video games. I like a lot of different video games. So... I'm not the kind of person who could only do one game. I really, like... I have reached out to other streamers and said, hey, would you be interested in doing a stream playing this game with me? And they're just not interested in playing a different game because it's not DDO. So, I mean, what can you do, right? So, but... I think it would be really cool to get a bunch of DDO streamers to play Marvel Rival on the same team, right? I just think that would be fun. I think that would be good content. I think people would want to watch it, right? Yeah, see? I've got a lot of good ideas, bro. It's just a lot of, like, the problem I run into is reality, like, doesn't always align with the ideas. So, like, I have a lot of really good ideas that I know people would want to watch, but it's just, they're just impractical to do, or I just can't actually get them done. So... yeah, I appreciate the follows, guys. Thank you. If you're just checking me out, I have a YouTube channel too. I'm trying to get it to 1,000 over there, so any follows are appreciated. I appreciate you guys. I gotta get that Reaper. These things are a bit harder to CC, although I can do it with that. There we go. But I'm gonna keep my my hold monster on my bar for Reapers. Just We just got him right there. Oh, there's another one. And I completely missed. There. The proc is my dinosaur weapon, turns everything to ice. Yeah, Axel, I'll ask him. Yeah, sure. I'm sure we could do it. I'm sure we could work it out. Like, I know there are other GDO streamers who also like to play other video games. There are a bunch of people who are playing Baldur's Gate 3. I did stream Baldur's Gate 3 and I played a solo version of it, but from my perspective, it wasn't something that I wanted to stream the entire game. I kind of wanted to just make like a highlights video for YouTube. But there are people who've streamed a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 and did really well farming that content. So I think it's cool if you could get a good character idea. Like, interesting, if you guys watch Charlie, you know, Penguins, I watched him play Veilguard, even though I had no desire to play Veilguard, just because I generally like him, and watching him play games, like, he did a fun, kind of a freaky character. So even though I didn't watch, like, every single minute of him streaming that game, I did check out a bunch of it. I've watched him, I've never played Dark Souls 1. I think he was streaming Dark Souls 1 the other day. I watched that for a while. I probably won't play Dark Souls 1, but I probably should, to be honest with you. Like, people say it's a really good game. I have played Elden Ring, though. I didn't stream it, but I did play it. I played a lot of Path of Exile 1. I never streamed any of that. I mean, I think I have, I don't know, 50 hours, so it's not like I played it a lot. I forget the name of the, was the latest expansion that I played a lot of. The Calgard. I think that was what the name of it was. Settlers of Calgard. I thought it was great. And that's where I started having the ideas. Like, if they did this sort of stuff in TDO, it would be super cool. I think it would get a lot of people to come back and play. I liked that little town. I liked all the different quests. I liked everything. And I'm hoping they do stuff like that for the PoE 2 seasons, because that'll be super cool. That game will pop off for years if they do that. Because the game is already super cool, and then if they add, like, really cool season stuff, I think it'll be... that game will do really well for the next decade. It'll probably keep a bunch. Dark Souls 1 is the best. Yeah, that's what everybody says. So I'm probably going to play it, just because I like that kind of stuff. We'll see. Maybe I'll stream it. You know, if I really... if I get it and like it. Listening to Charlie talk about it, he said that if you've never played Dark Souls before, you should probably play Dark Souls 3. That it's probably the most approachable of all of them. I think that's fair, too. Right, like... There's a lot of games I'm waiting on. I'm really worried. Like, I'm really worried BioWare effed up Dragon Age so much that they're going to completely kill Mass Effect. I've been waiting for Mass Effect 5 for a while. If BioWare does what they did to Dragon Age, I probably wouldn't even play it. I hated Andromeda. I really only liked 1 to 3. I tried to play Andromeda and it was just terrible. That was like after BioWare had got purchased by EA and they just changed up the way that they created their games. And from my opinion was that it was just terrible, so not worth the time. So I bought it. I probably played that game for an hour and then I uninstalled it and I've never reinstalled it since. It's so sad too, because I really loved Mass Effect. It's a few games like that, dude, that I bought, I installed, I tried them, and then I uninstalled them. I did the same thing with Outer Worlds. Like, I love the art style. I love the idea of that game, but the way that they did the first person, I tried to get a mod to do third person so I could play it. I couldn't. So then I just uninstalled it. I lost interest. I am playing right now. I haven't streamed it, but I'm playing it and I'm really enjoying it. Cyberpunk 2077. I got that. And I'm playing through that, really liking it. I don't usually like first person, so I do have a third person mod installed for that, but it's not perfect. But the game is really good, like really, really good. I'm super surprised. I find myself thinking about that game after I play it, which is a really good sign. I really like the city, Night City. Like, I love the artwork and just the lore, and I've only really just started. I'm still in Act 1, so, like, I'm assuming it's gonna get way better. The way people talk about it, it sounds like it's gonna, you know, really, like, blow me away. I have the expansion, too. I'm not sure how that is, if you guys played it, but... Netflix has an anime for Cyberpunk? I will have to check that out. Yeah, I'm very upset that I haven't seen the League of Legends show. What's it called? You guys probably know what it's called. It's in my brain. I just am not thinking of it at the moment. It's an anime show based on League of Legends. It's super popular. It's called Arcane. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. I want to see it. It's on my list. I've been watching Death Note. Like, that's, you know, awesome. Everybody, it's old school, really good. I have a few other things that I'm, like... But I plan to see Arcane. Even though I'm really not a League player, I would play it. I just missed it. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, everybody loves Dan to Dan. Is that how you say? Yeah, I've heard of that too. Yep. I've heard of... You know who I heard Dan to Dan through Tectone, I think, said that it was his favorite or something. One of his favorites. Back when he was on Steak and Eggs. I don't know if he's still on Steak and Eggs, though. I don't ever usually just go watch Tectone, but, you know, he does the podcast with Zach and Emmy, so. Which is a really good podcast if you haven't checked it out. Steak and Eggs. Not affiliated with them in any way. It's just a recommend because it's good. But some of you guys probably already knew that, so. I do watch a lot of streamer content. I do watch a lot of YouTube. Like, Charlie's one of my favorites. I am a fan of Asmongold, so I watch a lot of his stuff. I try to keep up with, like, things that are going on. He talks a lot about stuff that I care about in video game land. And generally, his takes, I usually agree with everything he says, so... when he's like, this game sucks, I know it's a pretty good, like, indicator that I won't like it either, you know? Although, he's like, bro, like, for Marvel Rivals, I think Invisible Woman is super fun. Like, really, really strong. Really strong. But he won't play a girl character, so he hasn't tried it, but I think it's great. Like, Invisible Woman is super, super good. She has a really nice double jump that makes her invisible, so if somebody rushes you in the back, like if like Wolverine dives you, you can just double jump and viz away. Or like a lot of times Captain America will like try to come in the back and kill the healers. I just double jump away from him. There's another character too that does a lot of jumps in the back. It's like a martial arts character, super hard to get away from, but the double jump works. So that's really good. And then the ultimate for Invisible Woman is this big field that makes everybody in it invisible and it heals everybody up. It's like super strong. It's OP as hell. So it's a lot of fun. It's a really fun game, by the way. And it's the most amazing part of it is that it's completely free. Like, you don't have to pay a dime to play that game. You can just download it and play it. If that's not a mind-blowing, like, how the fuck are they doing this? You know, when it's like, when I want to play DDO, it's like every 5 seconds something costs me money. That's just what I'm saying when I'm talking. I'm not just trying to, like, trash. I'm just saying they need to get it better to keep people around and invested in playing. And since the model right now, the current meta, is to provide a really good game for free, like, how do you compete with that when you're trying to keep people in your ecosystem? Like, how? You have to make sure that you have, like, a chase, things that they're going after, FOMO, stuff like that, like, that gets people invested in their characters, invested in the lore. And that's exactly my point about, you know, you guys are probably sick of hearing me say it, but why I think Githyanki should be in the game. I don't really care. I probably wouldn't even want to make a Githyanki, but I think that it should be here just because it's so popular and Baldur's Gate 3 is super popular. This is where the triple completionist helps a lot. Like, if I were on a first life character, I would have died. But I've got a lot of extra survivability. And the wings really help to get away from some thing like that that's hitting you. And this was my light pillar, knocked him down. See if I can knock that one down. I did. So like that, having that CC is really helpful too. And then the minion, while she doesn't have enough DPS to really kill any of this stuff, she'll keep it busy until I can get to it. So the trickiest part is going to be trying to kill the boss. Yeah, Arcane, that's cool. You saw it too. Yeah, I really want to watch it. I've heard a lot of good things. Zeppelin wants to plan our stuff. Yeah, I know he likes, he has said it many times that he likes, Psionics. So I think that they could implement it. I've said it, like, they just need to rename existing spells as psionic abilities and just give them psionic buffs instead of enchantment buffs, and they could do it. They don't have to code any new system like they did with Alchemist. You know, they could just just relabel the existing stuff. That's it. Problem solved. I mean, obviously, I don't have eyes on the code. I don't know. Maybe it's not that easy, but... Alright, so for this here, because this, well, I want the Famine Reaper over here, like, right now. Alright, so we'll kill the Famine Reaper, and then I'm going to buff myself with, immunity to disease, so I can actually fight this thing. And we're gonna do it with a wand. Okay, there we go. I just have to keep track of it, so I've still got 20 seconds left. So that's when he barfs, it's not gonna hurt me. So he's barfing right now. So I was immune to all of the stat damage. I still took a little bit of poison damage. I have to refresh it right now. Okay, there, we refreshed it. So it puts a nice 30-second buff on you. And then I need to get my, oh, he got me nauseated. Alright, I still have 10 minutes. If I get the Heart Guardian out, she will give me a, a regenerate. That will fix any of the nausea stuff. I'm also going to like reapply my acid. All right, there we go. All right, still have 10 seconds. All right. You can see how bad my DPS is on bosses. Okay, the Heart Guardian's out. He just barfed. I'm still immune. And I'm nauseous again, but she should fix me. Yep, she did. Okay, easy. Not the easiest ever, but, you know. We didn't die. It's easy to die to that boss. And back in the day, used to be able to, like, remove disease on you, like, every level for an entire minute. So you could have, like, a half hour of it on you, if you guys remember that. Yeah. I agree. Warlock single target DPS is terrible. It's awful. They're really good on groups. Terrible on bosses. Terrible. It's super, super bad. The main reason is that they nerfed our damage dice. So we have to take feats. This epic pack dice that gives us our dice back because they nerfed it and deleted them. The same thing with this Eldritch Blast dice. We have to take 2 feats to get our dice back. But if we look at the dice themselves, let me see if I can do that. So right there, Eldritch Dice 1d8. I don't know what it was when it first launched. I want to say it was like 1d12 or something. They nerfed it though, down to, this used to be a 1d6. It was god awful. It was unplayable. The only reason that I started playing Warlock again is they put it back to 1d8, and then the pack damage they made 1d6. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that somewhere, but it is somewhere. So the Eldritch is 1d8 now, the Pact is 1d6, and that basically allowed me to remake my Warlock because the damage was okay. You can see this is bonus Pact die. So if I look at all of my... Now these are 1d6 and 1d8. Not sure where it lists off all the different, and plus the Imbue die stack on it now. You'd think with all these damage sources, I would actually, yeah, see, Pack Dice, I have 22, and Eldritch Blast, so the D8s, I have 15 D8 and 22 D6. That used to be 15 D6 and 22 D4, back when it was unplayable. They nerfed it too much. Prior to the nerfs, though, it used to be like 15 D12s and 22 D10s. Like, it used to be insane. It was good. But in my opinion, I would not mind if they made this D10 and D8. That to me would make the DPS feel a lot more like it feels when you play a Dragon Lord, when you're on, like, when you do like a quick cuts and you spin around and kill everything with thousands of damage. Yeah, all right, that would make more sense to me for the Warlock. But they probably, when they released Acolyte as skin, that's when they put the dice back up. But prior to that, I was playing a Druid because it was just impossible to play Warlock unless you didn't care about doing any damage at all. Like, you could do a like a Trap to the Soul build if you were doing like a Soul Eater. So you're doing like the spray, but most of your DPS is coming from Finger of Death and Trap the Soul, right? You're just basically like single targeting everything. But again, you're terrible on bosses because, like, yeah, you can kill everything in the dungeon, you get to the boss, and then you're reliant on something else to kill the boss for you. So, I don't know. Our Finger of Death is still pretty good. I just failed that one. Let's see if I can turn these to frogs. I just turned one to a frog. See if I can finger this dude. Yes. I'm not built for necro at all, but I do have like a couple of diamonds in my gear or whatever. Aura burst its cleaves, yes. Yeah, basically that's what they are. They're basically a fancy cleave. There is a DPS build where people do melee with a Warlock aura, right? And it's basically a like a buff to your melee power. Right? Isn't that a build that's common right now? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's great. And that is the strength of this game, and which is very similar to PoE and PoE 2. Like, you can build a character based on an idea, and if you have all the past lives and points to put it together, you can get it to where it performs like really, really strong. To the point where like you may be able to solo clear R8, R10, whatever, easily. Or have a lot of fun just playing the game, you know, with whatever you cooked up. Like, that's great. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's even better than what I've seen in PoE. That's why I'm fascinated that we can't come up with a meta for the game to keep people here and invested in playing, because I think the complexity of our builds is just as good, if not better. The one thing that PoE 2 does different, though, is that the way they do those skill gems, where you can literally have, you know, like your sorcerer running around with like 2 swords, like that's really cool. It takes a little bit of getting used to have that. Like on my sorcerer, I did slot like a minion gem, so I was using like skeletal archers for extra DPS at low level. It's probably really dumb to do that, but it was the only thing I had at the time. It was helping a little bit, you know. I'm not anywhere near like good enough at that game though to make a build guide for anything, but I do make build guides for this game. You know, I'm probably going to make some for 2025, depending on what they announce. And I will update my existing builds. My Charisma Dragon Lord is super solid. That one still works really well. My Monk Thrower is kind of outdated now. It doesn't really play that strong. I still think it's super fun, but it's not that good. Not as good as it used to be. We had enough points to get Mass Frog, so... Oh, that was something else I was talking about that they should add for us to have polymorph in the game. Polymorph, like offensive and defensive. So like if you wanted to polymorph yourself into a cat, you should be able to do that. You should be able to polymorph like an orc into a mouse if you wanted to do that. Or right now we have Mass Frog. I can turn things into frogs, but they should add polymorph, mass polymorph to the spellbook to let people do it. They had it in Baldur's Gate. Why not have it in this game? That's another one of those like crossover things where it's already in the game. It just needs to be like codified. And I don't think it would break the game, right? Like alchemists can do single target frog. In epics you can do mass frog, like in the game isn't broke, so allowing anyone to take polymorph and turn an orc into a sheep, I don't think that's gonna break the game. You know, and they do have certain quests where we can turn into like a mouse. Maybe, yeah, if you turn into a bird and you want to fly around, maybe that might break the game. They'd have to think about that. But I personally, I think they should do it. I thought flying in Baldur's Gate 3 was super fun. But I do know that WoW, World of Warcraft, you know, they've had issues with the flying that they allow people to do, so... Chaosmancer, iconic. +1 heart to go pure. Yeah, man, that needs to be gotten rid of, in my opinion. You should be able to, you know, just respec out of that. I think. Mustang 50, good to see you. Thank you for the bits, appreciated. Hope you're having a good night. Hope you guys are having a good new year. That so far 2025 has been okay. At least good, possibly great. It's still a little early though, right? But so far it's been okay. I have said a few times, I feel like I'm in a bizarro universe. Like, I don't know what happened. So I feel like I'm in a different reality. I feel like I'm in that Star Trek episode, that Beverly Crusher, when she was in the warp bubble. Remember Me, if you guys ever saw that episode, where everybody around her is just changing and disappearing, and nothing to her is different, but everything around her is changing. That's exactly how I feel. And we have like a changing of the tides around us for many reasons. A lot of them are, you know, political and stuff like that. So this year, a lot of the creators that I watch in YouTube and Twitch, they're saying that it's probably going to be an interesting 4 years for content. So, I mean, I'm kind of excited about that, I guess, in a way, but you guys probably live in this, if you're in the United States and you're dealing with the same things I'm dealing with, like, bro, it's literally, like, I can't even tell you. I don't even know what the hell shit costs anymore at the store. I think they're just making up numbers. Yeah, what is that? What do you got there? A pint of ice cream? Okay, that's $48.50. Like, it's like, wasn't this $3 4 years ago? And now it's $48? Like, how much is milk now? What the fuck? Box of pasta, $6. Yeah, we think that's fair. What do you want? Eggs? Yeah, well, each egg is gonna probably run you $7, so you can't afford it all now. Well, you can take out a payment plan. And it's like, bro, I'm just trying to buy food for the week. I don't want to take out a payment plan. I've got to do this another 50 times this year. Have you guys eaten at McDonald's? You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's super expensive now. Fast food used to be fast food. You used to be able to get like fries, a Coke, and a drink for $1.50 or $1.99. Didn't they have value meal, $1.99? Maybe I'm going back in time way too far, but I can't even believe how expensive it is to eat fast food now. What? This is what I mean. Like, shit's just busted. Busted. Not every fast food place, right? Like, I think the prices at Chili's actually went down. But McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, they're just out of control. I don't usually eat a lot of that type of food, though, but, I mean, the point is, you know, it used to be, if you didn't want to eat that well. It was an alternative to eat cheap and easy, right? Like, in college, that's basically how I ate. In college, I didn't have any money, you know? And I went to school in Boston. Boston's expensive, so I was able to, you know, live on pizza and nachos and hamburgers and shit like that. Like, you know, it was all inexpensive. Now, I don't even know, man. Like, I don't even know what I would do. I'm gonna pull these levers. I know people do it without pulling the levers. I'm just gonna pull the levers. These forge wraiths, we already know these guys are awful with that fire thing that they do. Like, awful. These are one of my least favorite mobs. I just don't like them. They're always super tough. If you get a champion, it's just crazy hard. It's a really great way to die on hardcore. I would say, look at that. There's a champion right there, that Pandemonium one. If he has a damage boost on him, like, I'm getting hit with like a poison dot. Somebody in here, I bet it's that Demon Soul who did the poison dot. Oh, there's an archer on. Like, these guys are no joke. They're scary as hell. Like, for hardcore, this is terrifying. All the fire. Yeah, I mean, we're doing all right here on this character because it's my main, but if I were trying to do this on hardcore, I'd want a good team. This boss can be a pain too. Now you can actually see he's got 196,000. How slow my DPS is on him. It's just super slow. It's painful. So that's the one thing. If you sign up for, if you do a Warlock, you sign up for having garbage boss damage. Like, my Epic Strike hits pretty well. I have to watch out for that fire. But all the other hits, look at that. 100, 130, 400, 130, 126, 166. Like, that's all terrible. A barbarian with adrenaline is gonna smack this dude around. Or like a dragon lord. Will have a lot bigger hits than what I'm doing, right? And we got nothing. I don't care though. I don't need any gear. Yeah, I shouldn't eat that stuff anyway. It's not good for me. It's not good, but it's not good for two reasons. One, it's health-wise not good because it's just fat, sugar, and salt. And then the second reason is too expensive. It's one thing if you can buy the fat, sugar, and salt cheap. It's another thing if you have to pay premium, like you're paying gourmet costs for fast food. Like French fries. Yeah, how cheap is a potato? You can go out and buy a potato, like one potato. What was it, like 50 cents maybe? It should even be cheaper than that, but it's probably somewhere around there, right? Bag of potatoes, probably a couple bucks. At least it used to be a couple bucks. I don't even know. What is it now? Like 28, 52 dollars. I don't know what a bag of potatoes would cost now. But I do know, like, a box of pasta, you can easily pay like between $3 and $7 for a box of pasta, and it's not even a pound of pasta, and that's just pasta. Like, it's stupid how expensive pasta should be. $1, like, for a pound less. It's pasta. It's that they grow those crops, like, there's so much. Anyway, I won't start ranting about that, but the point is, like, you see it with, like, coffee too. Like, I don't usually buy coffee at Starbucks, but even those are super expensive now. So this one, we go to the forge. So we don't go back, we go to the forge, and then we go south. So if you have the Sharn Pass, it's super handy for getting to this last quest. And on the map, if you looked, you see there's 2 dots. The purple, we went to the southern one, which allows us to get to this quest, which is right down there. And this is easy. So I invis myself, we can ride. You don't need to invis yourself, but I always do. And we're just basically going straight ahead. I always forget that I can't do my wing on the mount like I can. I can Misty Escape on the mount, but I can't do the Exalted Flight on the mount. But so we're ignoring all this stuff. And we're just jumping over it all. This one can be quite challenging, so we'll see. Hopefully I don't die. Sometimes people will, like, farm to reset one side or the other. I don't really care. I know one side is, like, way easier than the other side. But we should be okay. It's super dark, too. Like, I want a light spell just because, like, for quests like this. Like, I would love to have them add a light spell. It was something that I really enjoyed in Baldur's Gate. Like, having, ooh, it's a Reaper. Having daylight, having that as a spell that you cast, like, that was super cool. Okay, we've got 1 student. And now... Okay, I can open that door, right? Yep. I see the Reaper. It really makes me miss my old Carrion Swarm, though. The old Carrion Swarm was so good. Oh, Sir Reaper. Hello, Reaper. Am I the only one who thinks Reapers should be added to our monster manual? Like, why aren't they in our monster manual? Right? Okay, that's a one-way dead end. Is this? Where am I? Oh. Okay. Yeah, it's so dark. Oh, here it is. I don't see any Reapers. I'm gonna turn all this stuff to frogs. There we go. This spell is super useful for this kind of stuff. Constructs, undead, like, for some reason they're really easy to frog. Hey, little frog. Now, I think you should be able to turn something into a frog and then tame it and then keep it as a pet. Really? Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, they do a lot of damage too. They're hitting me for like 400. Okay, this should be the last one, right? Alright, put the little minion out. My frog is up, so if everything just hog piles on that, I'm gonna frog right now. Alright, got a bunch of it. And I want to kill the Free Reaper. Okay, got the Free Reaper. Yeah, Mass Frog comes from the top tier in Primal. I have extra points, so I'm able to do tier 4 in all of them. One of the benefits of having Epic Completionist as many times as you can get it done, it allows you to grab a whole bunch of points for your epics, which is a lot of powers there, super strong. So highly recommend farming epic past lives. You get like the most bang for your buck for your time spent. If you had to decide, if you're like, I'm new to the game, I don't want to spend years, I just want to make my character super strong. It's exactly what I'm doing on Cormyr. I am stacking Reaper points with some epic past lives, and that's good. It's super strong. Obviously, this is just my opinion. You know, once you get over 20 Reaper points, that's good. 30 Reaper points is even better. You should shoot for getting your Reaper wings. And then, getting 12 epic past lives so you can have all of your stances. That frog didn't work that well, actually. But it's okay. Oh, there's a champ. Yeah. That champ is doing a ton of damage, and it's right there, that demon soul. Okay, we got it. No joke, dude. That thing hurt. So that's something that like a new player might, you guys are probably able to tell what it is too, but it's like I've played the game so long, I can tell when a certain debuff hits me, like that I know it's coming from a certain type of champion, and that I have to get rid of that champion quickly, especially if you're doing hardcore. Like, it's something you want to be aware of, because those things will, if they get a couple of stacks on you and they have a damage buff, it'll kill you really quick. It's a shitty way to die, and the only reason I know about stuff like that is because I played for so long and I have died so many times to stuff like that. You get like hyper fixated on certain things. You don't want to die that way. So I think this is my memory. Isn't it 3357? And I skip red, so 3357, right? I'm gonna try it and we'll see how my memory goes. Okay, thank you. So we're doing 3, 3, 5. And we just have to count the lever pulls. This is not just arbitrarily pulling the lever. This is actually moving these mirrors on the ceiling here. So you could actually watch the mirrors and try to pull them, but if you do this quest a bunch, you learn the number. So this one's 7. So that should be the last one. So that means that the mirror, whatever mirror that one was turning, this one right here should be set. And we can actually watch. Yeah, so that worked. So I think we got the easy way, right? If the door on your left is open when you come into this one, it's the easy one, and the door on your right, you have to do the extra fight. I feel like we got it, like, easy. I wasn't even aware. Like, I know one side is a little easier than the other, but I like that ring. That's really cool. But we didn't get any other gear. A couple of filigrees. I did submit an idea for the filigrees that they should allow us to trade in like 10 regular filigrees for a rare filigree. So I don't know if you're like me, but I have bags with like thousands of filigrees. So, and I think that they should actually even let us trade in rares for like a double rare. You know, if you had like 10 rares, trade them up for a double rare. They need to do something with them because right now there's just too many filigrees. So I, of course, don't expect everyone to agree with me about that, but I think something needs to be done. You know, there's another solution to it, but I mean, I've got 2 bags and they're both filled with filigrees. Was that enough to get me? Yes, because as a VIP, I can skip. So now I have this saga done, and so now I can go do a bunch of other sagas and then drink a guild potion and claim a bunch of guild renown for my guilds, which basically on Sarlona now is just me, even though you see a bunch of people in the guild. Most of these are like my either my free-to-play account or just alts that are bank tunes on this account that I have. There are a few people in here. Let's see how many active people. I have 3 actives. So it's me and like a couple other people. The 3 inactives are like real world friends who stopped playing DDO like a few years ago. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how do I entice those 3 guys to come back? Because they won't. Like, it's super sad. And most of them left because of, like, you know, not wanting to have to pay for it. I've already told the story about the one who had to buy the plus 20 heart. The other one, so one of them left because hardcore, you cannot transfer astral shards from one server to another. And they were not aware of that when they purchased the astral shards. So they didn't know what to do with the astral shards, so they were going to gold roll them. But if you remember, I think it was like Hardcore Season 7. At the end of Hardcore Season 7, maybe it was 6, they turned off gold rolls for Hardcore. Like, once the season ends, they turn gold rolls off. So they had a bunch of astral shards, and they couldn't gold roll. So they felt like they were like robbed, I guess is the way they felt. Now, they did know, I know, because I've played the game for a long time, that there are other ways you can spend your Astral Shards. You could go to the GTN and buy stuff off the shard market. You could go and buy augments. You could potentially do like cross-server trades with other players who have stuff they want to sell for Astral Shards. I mean, it's a lot of work, right? There's no easy way to do it. So, and without the ability to gold roll, does seem to be like there's nothing left to do. But there are other ways that they could have moved. But I think that the fundamental issue is that why aren't Astral Shards tied to the account? Why are they tied to the server? That's a fundamental problem that people have because it costs real money to buy the shards. They are the equivalent of in-game. If DDO points are account-wide, why aren't Astral Shards account-wide? It seems like a no-brainer to me. To lose a player over that sort of a thing, it's so stupid and petty. I can't even express, like, but this person has their feelings. They're valid. They just are not interested. They won't come back. They're playing something else now. And this was years ago. Like, how long ago? Was it like 2021, 2022, whenever Hardcore Season 7 was? Maybe it was 2023. I don't know. Anyway.
Where are you going? Hunting for gold that is flowing. Somewhere in the cold world, hid there is no knowing. Hey la, oh la 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 la. We love games. There's a standing stone. Let's make camp. We love games. Let's make camp and play more games. Hey la, oh la la la. We love games. We love games. Where are you going? There's no knowing what magic awaits, what evil is growing. Hey la, oh la la la, we love games. Love games. Hunting or crypts is folly. Just play games and be jolly. Magical treasures hide in the dark.